And we are live here at Earth X25 at the beautiful Hilton Anatole in Dallas, Texas. And we're going to talk about sustainable development all across the world. And we've got a subject matter expert I need you to hear from. Everybody put your hands together for Miss Bettina Hausmann. Bettina Hausmann. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So how do I say your organization's name? Is SIAS International?
SIAS International.
SIAS International.
Yes.
And so if I read your bio correctly, you work with the United Nations in sustainable development, but what was your educational background?
I studied actually very late in life. I was 28. I
Okay.
went back to university as I grew up in East Germany, so I couldn't study. So East Germany, I don't know if you're aware of,
Yep.
was behind the Iron Curtain, was part of the Soviet Union as a sphere of influence.
The sphere of influence.
Right, and so when I was of the age when I wanted to study, I was told I could only study to become a teacher.
Wow.
And I'm truly not an educator. So I just didn't go and study. And when the wall finally fell, I was 28 at a time when I went back to actually studying what I wanted to study, and that was economy. And hoping to do my own business one day. And while I was studying it, I thought, I don't think I will ever be an entrepreneur because no one will take the business as serious as I will.
Wow.
And so, yeah, here I am.
So you watched the world change.
Correct.
From the other side of the Iron Curtain. Can you tell us what that was like watching it fall? Was there a sense of hope, opportunity? I know that it certainly changed your life.
It certainly did, yeah. And the interesting part is really that I'm from Magdeburg, which is actually one of the cities that brought the change about. It was not Berlin, because Berlin is always mentioned as the city that,
Right.
it's iconic, right? Because you have the wall there and it's the city that was split. So in my hometown, the demonstration have taken place months in advance. And it was a peaceful demonstration that we really were thinking about more or less to bring change about that we could travel more.
Okay.
It wasn't to bring down the regime, but really asking for, let us travel into the countries that are not communist,
Right.
but going where we also have our families in the west of Germany,
Right.
where we couldn't travel without a visa or in a special, really, police, when we had to go to the police to ask if we can go because somebody passed and was our family member, where we were split for 60 years essentially from one another. And
60 years?
Yes.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it was fascinating. So to see
bet.
the change in terms of happening peaceful demonstration, and that eventually really brought down the system itself.
Absolutely.
And it only happens at the right moment in time.
Right, right.
With the right people.
So you watched how people's small actions contributed to an entire shift in the global paradigm.
Correct.
And I'm guessing that that's probably where your passion came from to work in international affairs.
Not quite.
Not quite. That would have done it for me, but she said that didn't do it for her. So
Not
tell
quite.
me, what was it that said the UN
Yeah.
is where I need to be, that's where I'll be most effective? When did you have that realization?
Probably during the former Yugoslavia war.
Wow.
In the 1990s.
Yep, 1990s.
Because it was the first war after World War II that was so close
Right.
to Germany. I mean, it was one of our neighboring countries, essentially, if you will. And for the first time ever, I actually had friends that were dispatched by the United Nations as blue helmet soldiers to the war. And if you know what blue helmets are, they are not able to actually engage in combat.
Wow.
They're wearing blue helmets, and with their sheer presence in the war, that indicates that we're here to keep certain boundaries, certain peace,
Wow.
and not being targets themselves by the fighting parties. At that time in the 1990s, it still was working, that system, that recognition of there is a neutral party on the battlefield, indicated by the blue helmet, which in later years it's no longer the case.
That is a revolutionary concept, and I certainly wish that we could go back to those days, because there's so many conflicts in the world that need a neutral party to not only take an account of what's going on, but perhaps inspire peace where there would not be that inspiration.
Right.
Did you ever get deployed to any of these zones, or was that a little bit after, bit before?
I wasn't,
okay.
right. It was some of my friends where I really thought, what a concept, exactly how you put it, right? There is a neutral party and it's recognized by both, or by the fighting parties, that there is someone in between that says, take a moment, we're here to actually protect civilians.
Wow.
Right. So for me, that was something, how can I get involved in such an entity that is made of 193 countries that agree that at certain moments in life, in the world affairs, we need to have a party that is neutral, that says civilians need to be protected in this conflict.
Absolutely. And I read that you were a part of the Rio Plus 20 in 2012 that actually helped develop the modern sustainability development goals that we have right now. Can you tell us about that conference and what got you there?
Yeah. So it goes back to how did I get involved with the UN eventually is, if you are familiar with Rotary, Rotary is essentially as old as the United Nations Association.
Okay.
And United Nations Association is similar to Rotary in that there are chapters in each country and chapters in each state in the United States. And it's a United States initiative that also together with Rotary brought the United Nations into life, into being in 1945. In Germany, I joined the chapter of the United Nations Association, which means advocating for the United Nations in your city, in your country, to bring close that what happens, what the UN does collectively has an impact for me as a citizen in Magdeburg, in my city Magdeburg, for instance, right?
Yes.
So it's what happens there has an impact here. So this local global connection, right? And I found that very fascinating to make that connection that really buys in how important it is to be part of the UN, to be part of that understanding. We're together, 193 countries. We're different, but we're all here for security, to keep security, but also drive collaborations. So when I moved to the U.S.,
what was like, of all the countries, why here?
I met a guy on a plane.
Oh, it was love, y'all. Love brought her to the United States.
It was, yes.
Okay.
Yep. And he was very interesting. In only an hour, he could make sense of what I was trying to say in English. My English wasn't that great at the time.
Gotcha.
And so I just gave him a few things, and all he understood, Germany, oh, Kuckucksklock, oh, Volkswagen, and he kept saying
Volkswagen.
like the little things that he know, Wiener Schnitzel, I don't know why you always say, it's Austrian actually, but I let that slide.
Us Americans generally tend to lump things together. Absolutely. But so you found yourself moving to the United States, and I believe you started a chapter in California. Is that correct?
I joined one.
You joined the chapter.
And really went through the process of really being a volunteer to being then a chair of a committee, and from there became the president. And
absolutely, you did.
As Germans tend to do.
You're just very ambitious.
Step
folks.
over, let me do it.
Right. That's confidence for you. Absolutely.
So, and that really then in 2012, when the Earth Conference took place in Rio de Janeiro, that was my first opportunity to actually go and represent the San Diego community, me as the president of the UN Association. And it was really the Earth Conference. It's an Earth Conference that took place in Rio de Janeiro. And at that time, we weren't aware that this is going to be the birthplace of the SDGs.
Wow. Okay, so, go ahead.
So what was fascinating is really that is a very historic moment in the history of the United Nations that it was allowed for the very first time that private industry was represented, civil society, that means people like you and I that are interested, could join in Rio de Janeiro, and civil society. Because the UN, when they usually host these conferences, it's really between the UN and UN member states, right? So they're talking from politician to politician, from diplomat to diplomat. And here we are all together talking about the state of the world. But in a connected way, right?
In a connected way that brings together both government and business.
Exactly.
And so it said that you're a subject matter expert in developing sustainability goals. Can you talk about, with the current global environment, what are some of the top SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, that you are working on right now?
So for me, again, goes back to the global-local connection. So I'm really looking specifically into what is in California and in San Diego, where I am. What are the biggest issues that we're facing currently? And some of them is poverty, it's hunger, and it's the oceans, and sustainable cities.
Sustainable cities.
Sustainable cities, yes.
Right, so when you're talking about development, are you talking about transitioning infrastructure in what we call the develop? I like to put those in quotes because, you know, developed and all that stuff, those are words. But are you transitioning developed infrastructure into sustainability, or are you doing that in developing nations?
That's an excellent question. So may I step back how the SDGs...
Go ahead and step back as far as you need to step
Okay,
now.
all right, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
When you heard SDGs, right, there's 17. What was your first thought about the number 17, like 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals?
I just thought it was a good number that smart folks put together. But I seem to feel that there's a significance behind that. Why don't you explain that to the good folks here?
Because other people said, why the heck 17? That's a lot of goals. Why 17? How, can't you just pinpoint it 3, 4, 5 marks? But why 17? The fascinating part was in Rio de Janeiro was because we came from all walks of life and backgrounds and industry leaders and civil society, was that for the first time really we looked at what makes the world tick, and that's society, right? We create society, we humans, and humans, no matter what color, what shape, where we live, we create the same societies because that's who we are. That's just innate.
Humans be humaning. Yes, that's what we do.
Right. So we looked into what is it really that we're missing in these societies. Let's not think about the country. Just what is it? Many of us experience poverty, hunger, environmental issues that come by ocean, that comes through foresting, that we are in cities most of the time. So what is that playing into? Health is incredibly important. Access to quality education.
Absolutely.
So all of these aspects we found across any country and any really society, we found there are problems to a certain amount, more or less. Right? For instance, I have friends that come from the continent on Africa, and when they're here in the US, they say, wait, what? There are people that are homeless? Wait, what? There are people that live in slums? For them,
in America?
Right.
How could that be?
And so for them, that's a real surprise. They do not expect that a country like the United States has these people left behind in a way that as a community, we should have to be responsible to work together, to live together, right? In a way that it's in dignity and have access to at least to the most elementary things in life,
Right.
be it health, be it education, good education, right? And not be hungry.
Right.
And so we really figured that these are 16 goals we can actually really all subscribe to. But how do we resolve them?
Yes.
Through collaboration partnerships. That's the 17th.
Okay.
So now we have 17 goals because at the end of the day, we can only accomplish all of this through partnerships, together, working together. And so here's also the SDG pin.
She has a pin, y'all.
Yes. And it's from Swarovski. Manfred Swarovski did the Swarovskis on there.
What's up, Swarovski? See, look at this.
Wow.
I need a language coach.
So each of the SDGs has a different color. And
Okay.
I often ask, does the color matter? It does not. So it randomly chosen colors to represent different goals.
Nice.
But the roundness of the pin is very intentional because there's no beginning and there's no ending.
Absolutely.
Each of these goes together. If you're hungry, you're most likely not able to go to school. You probably are not healthy, right? Because when you're hungry, you have not access to decent work.
Right.
Because your education may not have given you that because you couldn't go to school because either there was no access to it or you didn't learn that sets you up for a good job.
So this is powerful humanitarian work that's going on. I know we could have used you in my neck of the woods where I grew up, for sure. And I think that there's a possibility to expand the work that you're doing here in the United States. And if somebody wants to join you, what website could we go to? How do we find you and the work you're doing?
Website is great.
The website is great, but
I really would love rather that people take a look at their communities and
Yes.
look what is missing in my community or what is going on in my community to connect really when we're talking about poverty, that
Yeah.
we're talking about how this connects to the bigger picture in the world. So here's poverty, bigger picture is the sustainable development goal that is related to poverty. Go to your representative, be it municipality or your congressional rep, and really talk about how important the connection is between what is happening in my community on poverty, how there are already policies established, such as the Sustainable Development Goals.
right.
Because our representative, the ambassador to the UN, the US ambassador to the United Nations, has that mandate by 2030 to fulfill all of the policy changes that adhere to the accomplishment of the Sustainable Development Goals. So in other words, they have it redistributed to all of the Congress, to all of the municipalities,
Right.
but it's just on the shelf.
Oh, so we got to get it off the shelf. And the way we do that is by thinking of ourselves as global citizens. And I hate to be cliche
you.
right here, but they say think locally, think globally, act locally. And I think that you very much embody that. We are out of time, but I know she's going to be still in the building. And so y'all go up and shake this lady's hand because she's got a lot going on that we need to have no matter what part of the country you're from. Bettina Hausmann. It's been great to have you at Earth
I really
X TV.
appreciate it. Thank you
Yes,
for the
ma'am.
great questions.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks. Thank you.